Remember the wood that we prepared for the chessboard. This is wood that we put a rabbit in it called an outside rabbit. And Jung, what was the name of this? What was the name of that in Thai?
Bang Bai.
Bang Bai. Ani Bang Bai. That's the name of this kind of a cut into wood. Anyhow, this is the wood for the borders of our chessboard, and we got to cut the ends of it to 45 degrees so it comes together like a frame. And then the MDF board, the paper wood, is going to fit in here along with the tiles and the grout and cement. So we're going to take this, and we've made a jig. This is a radial arm saw, and no student will use this in your class. Actually, in the high school, nobody uses it either. It's quite dangerous saw, and even though I want to teach it and want kids to use it, and most high schools they do use it, I just can't afford to have an accident on this saw. It's just bloody dangerous. So we made up a jig for the saw. This is a saw jig. A lot of times we make jigs. The saw basically, when it comes across like this, it only cuts straight. 90 degrees to the stock, to the work. The work would normally go against this backboard. It's called a fence. So the work would go to the fence, and then the saw would come across and cut it. So we made a jig to cut at 45 degrees. And the jig will go in here, and the wood will be held in here like that. The wood is really off the platform, so you have to be very, very careful when you cut it, because you don't have a lot holding it there. And then the saw will be drawn across like this. Again, when you use any saw or any machine in the classroom, we insist that you use goggles and protect your eyes. It's very important. Okay, I'm going to make a cut now and cut this off at 45, and you'll get to see what I'm doing here. You can see this wood's now been cut at 45, and the other one will meet it. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the other piece. The last part of assembling your project is to put the frame together. And as you saw on the radial arm saw, we cut at 45 degrees. It's quite confusing. You don't believe it, but when you're trying to use a jig and cutting, we accidentally cut this piece the wrong way, and we had to correct it. So that's why this piece looks like this. What I'm just trying to do is show you how the corner of this is going to look and how it goes together. So to do it, I'm going to set down a few rules. Number one is, we are going to do your 45-degree cuts, but you're going to mark them out. And you're going to mark them out with a tri-square. This is a tri-square. You'll set the tri-square like this. This is the 45-degree side. And when you bring your wood over, a tri-square will go like that, and you can check that your wood is exactly 45 degrees. If you do it properly, the wood will meet. If you're going to do any gluing, Jung and I have said this to you a lot of times, and we want to make sure you remember it. Please do not ruin the paper, the cardboard that's down on the tables. Instead, we have plenty of newspaper down the hall between the two rooms. On the right, you'll see on the bottom, you'll see big stacks of newspaper. So cover the table if you're going to do gluing or assembling. And that's a rule in the classroom, so I hope you'll remember it. Okay. So I'm putting newspaper down now. And I'm going to take the two sides. I want to show you how the two sides are going to go together. They'll match up like that. And then the MDF board, I've cut a small piece of it so you can see, will fit right in here, like that, the MDF. And then your tiles with spaces in between will go here. And what we're going to do to help you get the tiling right, we're going to cut spacers for you so you can place your tiles and have them straight. There'll also be a little space about 1/8 of an inch between the tile and the border boards that go around. Spacer in. So this will be cement. And then your tiles will go in here. We'll have the tile equally spaced from both sides. and then this will be the space. We'll give you spacer sticks like this so that this will maintain the increment between each tile. So your tiles will go together like that, alternating back and forth. And the space will be maintained by a spacer when you glue the tiles down. And this area that's open will be filled in with grout. And the grout comes in several colors, so it's really nice. You can choose what color you would like in there. And it's going to be very dramatic because when you finish this wood beautifully and also route the edge of it, you're going to have a very beautiful tabletop that could be used, in fact, as a table. You might further go on and make legs for this, or just keep it as a board that you can put on top of another table. But one thing's for sure, it'll be quite beautiful when it's finished if you selected the right tile. One of the things I want to tell you is that when you glue, you must glue on top of newspaper. And Jung and I have said this to students, and they always forget. We do not want to ruin the white paper that's on the tables. We keep this paper there for drawing and when you want to plan something, so you don't contaminate the work. So newspaper's down the hall on the right. There's a big pile of it. I want you to cover whenever you're going to do any gluing. We're going to apply glue to this. This is going to go together like that, and we're going to do it from the back. Okay? Remember, this much of it is not going to be stapled over here. So we're going to apply glue. And applying the glue, I caution you, do not apply too much glue. Just put a little stripe of glue on. Okay? And these two are going to go together like that. And what you can do is distribute the glue with the wood itself. So I want you to take the wood and distribute the glue like that, and then turn the two pieces over. We will come along with a staple gun. I want to show you this gun. These guns are very, very dangerous. They're air-driven with 60 or 65 pounds of pressure, and you could easily push the trigger. I'm going to attach the air hose to the gun. This gun leaks when you attach it. It's because of the fitting. But when you pull this trigger, a staple shoots out, and you could blind somebody. If you just hit it by accident, what are you going to say? I'm sorry? You got to be very, very careful. Okay? So I'm going to put a few staples in to hold this glue joint. I'm going to press the glue joint closed, and then put a staple on the seam, right across the seam, and staple. And you can see the power of this glue gun is really, really powerful. You got to get it exactly in the center. I'm going to fire a few staples to hold this together. And remember, I can't go down too far because the wood's hollow. Okay? And now you can see what we've done here. We've actually glued the frame together. There's some glue coming out of the joint, and you can take your finger and just push off that glue. All right? It's important to get that glue off so you can use a wet paper towel in addition to get the glue off. And we're going to put a weight on this so that this corner holds very, very well. All right? And that corner is put together now. And then when you're finished your MDF board, we're going to glue the MDF board in like that. Okay? And you're going to have a complete frame like that made. And that's basically how you're going to put these pieces of wood together. This kind of a joint, like this, is called a miter joint. It's very important to know that name. All framing, when you buy a frame, picture frame, it's always put together with that. It looks very fitted, very beautiful. It's a 90 degrees. Actually, the joint is 45 degrees, but it's a 90-degree joint. It's called a miter joint.